is how we market and accept referrals. So, I don't know if you guys know this, because I didn't know it until I spoke to every one of my front office girls. Okay? And the first number, 30% of the referrals sent by dentists don't ever make it to our office. That one's an industry number that I got. But that's kind of shocking, right? The second two numbers are from my staff. So, what happens is, 75 to 80% of the patients that we see in our practice are patients where the dentist fills out the paper referral, tears it off, and hands it to the patient. Okay? So, we see on average 15 to 16 new patients a day. And what that means is a consult, right? It may not technically be a brand new patient, but they're here for a new procedure. So 11 of those 16, we're relying on the patient to walk into our door holding a piece of paper. Okay? And what my staff tells me is at least 25% of those 11, which is 3 patients a day, don't bring the paper with them. Okay? It doesn't seem like a big deal, and it doesn't seem like a lot. But here's what happens. They can't come back for a consult until we have that referral. So the patient's there, they're pissed because they're not seated yet. Staff is calling the general dental office. The general dental office, remember we talked about their business model, they have one upfront person. What's that upfront person do? They answer the phone, they check them in, they check them out, they present treatment, they present fees, and they gotta help student oral surgery office get a referral that they should have already had because I gave it to somebody they should have it, right? So now we're inconveniencing, we're upsetting the exact source of our income, okay? And that's 3 patients a day per office for us. That's 12 events a day where my practice was calling, inconveniencing, irritating, upsetting a referral source. Now you can just imagine, what if it was the same office more than once, right? If they were pissed the first time, it's going to be a whole different experience. So, like I said, I asked all my greeters this week, I said, so when that happened, why did the patient not bring it? They said, well, they just thought it was a map. Because on the back is a map. And they already told us when they called and made the appointment what the appointment was for. We should know the rest. They don't need to bring it. And then there's the, I can't find it, I lost it, my wife. Whatever, right? So, we already talked about that what happened. So, this is the solution that we're using in our practice. So, this one-click referral is this button. Okay? And same thing happens, right? So, here's the other issue. How many people in this room have ever got a referral? So it says implant consult, and there's just a big circle around the mouth, and that's it. Have you seen that? So what exactly does that mean? What am I supposed to do? You want to do an overdenture? You want to do a hybrid? Are you talking about 2 locators? Are you talking about saving teeth, taking out teeth? Are we doing fixed? Right? Has anybody ever had that happen? More than 5 times a day? I have. Okay? So, we already talked about the irritation, the wasted time. And then this is the biggest one, right? How about this? I hear on a daily basis, did my dentist call you about my case? Right? Because they'll either say, well, they said they were going to, and the dentist probably meant to. And I'll usually say, I'll tell a little white lie, I'll say, oh yeah, we talk all the time. We do. But they really want to know that we've communicated effectively about why that patient's in the office. Okay, and I know that you all have these same issues, right? So, this is a system that I've helped create. So what if we had a referral for every patient before they came to the office? So a couple of things that would do for us. One, we would get to see the no-show rate, like who never schedules. Then we could work with that referring office and say, hey, 20% of the time we send a patient over, they never show up. What exactly are you telling them about our office? How are you preparing a patient for the visit? What can we do different to help you get that patient over to us, right? What else can we do? We can contact that patient, right? Instead of waiting for the patient to contact us, which could be 6 months, 9 months, 10 months later. And so what happens is the system gets us the information, it saves us time, and it creates instant notifications. So this button gets plugged into their computer, sits at their desk, and the benefits of this button are that it saves them time, right? All the things that we just talked about. Communication's better, we can track the referrals better, helps them complete redundant forms, because with this click of a button, we're going to get more information than we normally get, right? Instead of just the patient's name and a circle and who sent it, we're going to get more information. And here's why. So we also have happier patients. So what happens? They click the button. The button knows from the IP address of the computer where they're at in the city. So they click who they are. They'll click the procedure, select the patient, select the procedure, and then when they hit submit, we get a notification in our office automatically. So it drops into a cloud-based software. We get emails and text notifications that Dr. Sullivan has sent you this patient, right? We can then open that referral immediately, get the patient on the phone while they're driving back to work from leaving Dr. Sullivan's office. Okay. What also happens is the patient gets a text. When it's sent, the patient will get a text that says, you've been referred to this office. Right? And then shortly after that, they'll get a text or a phone call from us that says, hey, we're excited to have you in our office. And we start that process of setting up an appointment. And there's more benefits we'll talk about. So it plugs into their computer. They click the button. This is a referral sent from my next door neighbor, Dr. Tuckett, to me. They put in the patient's name. When they hit send referral, here's the other thing. That first page, you saw that, our referrals are complex, right? Because it's like, we have a contest between oral surgeons. How much information can we jam on one little piece of paper, and how confused can we make the dentist, right? And I think I probably win that contest. But how often do they fill that information out? Almost never. So what my vision is, they hit the button, they want to send wisdom teeth, they hit the wisdom teeth button, it pre-fills in the 4 wisdom teeth, patient's name, and they hit send, right? What if there's only 3 wisdom teeth? Most dentists don't know that anyways. How many implant consults have you done for wisdom, or how many wisdom teeth consults have you done, and they don't have wisdom teeth? That happens too, right? But not only do you get the patient's name, the procedure, this system will integrate with their dentrix, for example, and it will pull over their insurance information, it will pull over their demographic information, it will pull over their health history. So it gives us all kinds of back-end information, along with their phone number and or email address. Okay? So think about that. Now you have this data. I don't know what happens in your practice, but here was our process before this. So patient calls, they schedule. Then we've got let's back up. So there's multiple types of referrals. let's say they're at a high-touch office. The dental office calls, makes the appointment for Betty Sue to come in, right? Next Tuesday at 3 o'clock as a service to the patient. They hang up. Well, what do we need to know before she gets in on Tuesday? We need to know what her insurance information is. We have to do an insurance caller to find out what their benefits are. We have to find out what benefits they have left. We have to find out what the coverage is for extractions, bone grafting, implants, so that when she leaves the office, she has a written treatment plan and how much her out-of-pocket is going to be, so that if that number looks good, they're on the books that day before they leave the office. Because the chances of them after they leave to call back the schedule diminishes very quickly. Okay? So, once, closing those shades a little bit, start to warm up a little bit. Tell you that I'm like, okay. I'm not worried about shades. Do you like it?
I do.
Okay, then it looks good. That one I can do with that button. They want this light up right here. So just shade down bags at. Try that.
There you go.
Thank you. Point that out. Okay. So, dentist office makes the call, schedules the patient. Now, we have to run that patient down to get that insurance information. Guess what? Once the patient knows they have the appointment, they don't return your phone calls. Ask your office staff. They do not pick up the phone. They already know they have an appointment. They don't even want to talk to you. They're just going to show up, right? Well, if we already have their information, we have their, we can verify that insurance either electronically or we can call, and then we can shoot them a text or an email that says, hey, we verified your insurance. We're ready for your visit. Here's a link to a map to our office, right? They don't need that paper map because we're going to give them a link. Before you come, we know what they've been referred for. Before you come, why don't you get on our website and check out these pages and read about medical plans or read about our doctors, right? And we have all of these chances to start building that relationship before they ever get into the office. Okay? So, they can choose whatever procedure they want. They'll, of course, there'll be a toothpick or whatever we need to do. And then this is an example of what happens. So as soon as they hit send, our phone goes off. It says, we've received a referral from this office. Patient gets a text, says, thanks for coming in today. This is from the dentist. We've referred you to, that should say AZ Max, because that's where all implants should be placed. They're going to reach out to you, right? And then our practice will send them a text right away as well. Okay? And this is huge right here, this last part. Right? By the way, if you prefer to be contacted via text, email, or should we call? Right? Don't you hate it when your kids, you call them, they won't answer, you text them, they text you right back. So you call them real quick, because you know they're at their phone, they're texting, they won't answer the phone. They'll text you right back. Right? That's the behavior that all of us do, right? I can't call you right now, but I can text you. If I'm in a meeting, I can confirm an appointment. I can make an appointment. I can send you a picture of my insurance card. But I can't call you back. And so, this is what the back end looks like, where we've got, the referral, who is referred from, patient's name and phone number, and then there's the status, right? You can see this one canceled or no show. This one we've left 4 messages for. So we can set different parameters where if we've left more than 3 messages, we can notify the dentist and say, hey, we've tried to contact your patient 3 times, they have not answered. Can you verify their contact information? Or would you mind reaching out, giving them a call, and encouraging them to come in, because we'll look at that lesion, or whatever, right? The thing that I want to know, which is what Wes was talking about earlier today, let's say that an operator or a scheduler hasn't called, and it's been 4 hours. I want to get an email that says you have 3 referrals in the inbox, and nobody has called to schedule those patients. That makes sense? Because who knows? Who knows how much leakage we have before they get there? How much leakage do we have within our office? And how can we button that up and tighten it up? And so, if their insurance data comes along, we already have all that information. And then within the program, not quite launched yet, but it's should be ready very soon, is an integrated chat program. So when I talked about earlier how the thing that keeps me up at night the most, now that my daughters are married, it's moved on to this, is my phones in my office. Having enough people to answer the phones. Well, if they're on the phone with insurance, or they're on the phone trying to track a patient down, or if the referring office keeps calling to schedule patients when they could just hit the button, I'm freeing up all this phone time, right? The patient prefers to be texted, freeing up more phone time, right? And the dental office is the same way. If you have one person in the GP office who's doing, check-in, check-out, scheduling, collections, billing, treatment plans, they might be able to answer a quick text that you have, a question about a patient, or they may be able to send a text and say, hey, we've got an emergency, can you get them in today at what time? And while we're on the phone with somebody else, the girls can say, sure, send them over at 2 o'clock. So just one more way to free up the phones. My brother's the worst offender of this, so 2 experiences with my little brother. One was, in regards to referrals, one of his patients is in the chair, and they're in the room, and they're waiting for me to go in, and he's closed for a staff meeting. So I called his cell phone, I called his office phone, I called Ken's phone, I called his hygienist's cell phone, trying to get an idea of what I'm supposed to talk to this patient about. No answer. So I go in and look at the cone beam, and they've got a periapical radial lucent to above 3, so I go in and do a consult. We're going to take out 3, we're going to do an implant sinus lift, give them this whole treatment plan. Finally, he calls me back. No. The implant was for number 20. Number 3, we're going to get a root canal. Well, my entire consult was the wrong consult, right? Now I got to call him back. And so I said to him, why don't you just send these things over electronically? Well, I just assumed all patients brought their referrals with them, right? And he says, by the way, I referred her 9 months ago. Why is she just coming now? Right, so this is Stuart. Next experience was, they wanted to get a patient in. One of my operators in the hospital, appendicitis. Phones are a little bit backed up. He can't get a hold of us immediately. So he's calling on one line, Candy's calling on another line, his assistant's calling on another line, all to the very same number, because there's only one number, and they're just stacking up my queue. They're all waiting on hold together, because they don't realize whoever called first is going to get answered first, they're going to get what they want. But if they had this text program, they could just say, hey, because if they hit the button that says refer a patient, when they send that text, it's going to pop up on every front office computer in my office through a Google Chrome extension. And somebody will be able to grab that and say, sure, Stuart, send them over at 2 o'clock. Boom, done. And what does that do for him? What does that do for me? It's unbelievable. So we talked about technology changing behavior and practices. This has been huge for us. Questions about this? How much? So it is $5,000 to set it up. And what that means is 2 of these guys, and I paid $5,000 and they drove 3 miles, but so they'll fly to your practice, and what you'll do is ahead of time, you will set up the general dentist that you want this implemented with. They'll come out, they'll train your team. They will have installed the integrations on your GP's computers beforehand. They'll go through and help you install the buttons and get them integrated with those up to 10 offices, which is $1,500 a month for 10 offices, which is exactly what I paid too. And then they're going to train your staff to be able to implement more buttons by themselves down the road without paying these guys to come out. And so they'll take either your PRCs, your IT person, whoever in your practice is going to be that most knowledgeable person that can go. Because when you want to add a new dentist, really all you need to do is make sure if they want to integrate it into Dentrix, they do it over the phone on the back end. And then your office literally shows up, plugs this in, hits the button, tells them which office it's at, does a quick little demo, a demonstration video. They can practice sending over referral, and then you have another office. Okay? Now, what's the power of the button? Well, we all know that most of our referral sources have more than one referral pad, right? How do we know that? Because they show up to our office with somebody else's referral. And so the habit that we want to create, hey, refer this patient to get their 8s out, hit the button, right? The thing that they're willing to do for us, not all of you are aware of this yet, but most of the people that come through this group want exclusivity. And so the perk for doing it now with these guys is they'll exclude 10 surgeons. What was the deal? I can't remember.
Yeah, 10.
10 of your competitors that can't get the button. So if you put in a GP office and the GP says, hey, they call them and they, hey, can we have these other 2 surgeons? Nope. They pay for the button. It's their button. You can't add another surgeon. Now, if they want to add an orthodontist, an endodontist, they'll have to pay to have the button. But the benefit for us is we want them, anytime they refer out, we want them to just hit the button. And when it goes to that endodontist page, there's going to be a banner up at the top with your logo, your brand, because you bought the button, right? Even though they're paying for the button too. So they're going to continue to get marketed about your practice. And you can talk to them on the break. They have, I asked them to get, sometimes they have those 4 times because they're rolling it out. We already did this with another group, previous group, so if any of you want these dates, you can reserve those dates. If not, we'll just get pushed out further. Any questions? Does anybody use Loop now, the Straumann product? So Straumann has a software called Loop, and it's not the same thing, but that's something that they're marketing. It just connects the dentist, surgeon, lab through the referral, but it doesn't integrate, it doesn't pull all this information and do these notifications like what this does. So, game changer for us in our practice. Because I'm running out of, I have one operator in Oregon, I have one in Idaho, I have one that started this week in Florida. I have another one of my operators retiring to Puerto Rico, and she still wants to work from home, so we're going to set her up in Puerto Rico. But I'm running out of seats in my office to put operators, and I don't really want a call center. I want my people to handle those calls. So this is going to be a better value for the patient. Think about what the patients say, right? Did you speak to my dentist? They're never going to ask that question because they're going to know that They got a text from the dentist, they got a text from the surgeon, we've already spoken about their case. When their patient schedules, the dentist will get a text that says, your patient has been scheduled, right? So we're constantly updating and notifying that dentist.
Do you recommend giving this, selling these things to your top referrals or the people that want to get it?
I would judiciously consider both of those options. Right? If you have, so like my top guy Sullivan, he doesn't have a button because he doesn't tolerate change well. And anything that goes wrong, it's my fault and he bitches at me. So I just want to give one less thing to bother me about at night when I really don't have time to talk to him because I've got other commitments. But my brother, for example, who's my third top referral, has it, loves it. And then we've got some other ones where you probably get the same thing. We have an email group that's new doctor referrals or referrals requesting referral pad email groups. So if an office calls in and says, hey, we're out of referral pads, they type in referral pad and it does a group email. So I know every time somebody calls in and I'll just respond to that group, but send. And that means I want that practice to have a button. And then they've trained my staff now how to do that onboarding themselves. So they call John, say, John, we're going to onboard this doc. They've already been entered in the system. They've got an onboarding sheet that finds out who their IT guy is, who the contact person is in the office. All of that stuff is, we find out if they're interested. When they go to drop off the referral pads first, they say, hey, you got this awesome button. You want the button or you want the pads? If they want the button, then they gather that information, we turn it into them, they turn on the backside, our people show up, plug the button, teach them how to do it, buttons in. So eventually, I hope we have 100 buttons.
So there's a price, so it's $1,500 for 10 a month, so if you have 20, it's $3,000 a month?
It's, I don't know. I don't have 20 yet.
Yeah, it scales.
It scales,
talk
it's
about the
not
pricing.
one-to-one, but it scales.
Yeah.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah. And the way that I look at it, if I have leakage and I can close one more implant a month because of that button, $1,500 is nothing. Nothing. Yes.
I'm intrigued by your statement that you have operators in Alaska,
Oregon, Puerto Rico, Idaho.
and then you made another statement that you're running out of chairs. Our physical space is limited. So can you spend 2 minutes talking about what you just did?
So those people have worked for me for years. So usually how it goes is I'm in my office and they come in and they say they're crying. Can I talk to you? And they shut the door. So that either means I offended them, or they're pregnant, or they have to quit. And the 4 that we have, there was a divorce that happened. Husband took the son to Florida. Stellar employee, a perfect employee. Well, she can either go find a job in Florida for one of you guys, or I can set her up at home and she can work from home. And I know I can trust her. So she was pre-trained. So I buy them a computer, I buy them 2 big dual screens, I buy them a VoIP phone. They have to get an internet connection. And then they do some front-end work for us, for example. If she's the Florida girl, she gets up in the morning before we ever open, and she starts running letters and posting procedures for my staff before they get there. The other 2 in the other time zones, the one was a back office assistant for 12 years. Father died. She had to go home and take care of mom. And so we put her up front for 6 months, trained her on the phones, set her up. The other one, her husband got into a business program in Idaho. So she's like, college towns, there's no job, there's minimum wage jobs. So we set her up, And then our operator's been with us longer, just about her retirement home in Puerto Rico. And so she's gonna work 3 months there and 3 months here, back and forth. And she's my best trainer, so my end vision is, I said, hey, Evan, you have room in your house for a couple more operators? And we're gonna pay them Puerto Rico wages? Not what you're gonna
There's your
make?
call center.
Yeah, and there's my call center, and I have my best trainer there. And so it's not something that we searched out for, but it was a previous employee who I trust and value, who knows our system and does it well, that they actually came to me and made a proposal. Hey, what if? So I thought it through, and if I could trust them.
You can log hours on the phone, log hours on the computer, so.
They're coming in our system through remote desktop. I can log every keystroke, I can log how long they're in the system, whether or not I track all their phone, record all the phone calls. So, but these are people that I don't have to keep an eye on. If I had to keep an eye on them, I wouldn't have. The only downside is they feel left out. Like today's our company picnic, and they're not there, and they feel left out.
You're not there either.
Well, it's because somebody in the back of the room had me committed before the picnic got planned. But it's worked out great for us because as our business has grown, we moved into new cities. The last office we bought is 2,000 square feet. We have limited administrative space.
So this is for referrals, that initial thing, and then for continuing to communicate on scheduling for patients. You guys use text, you have like a phone, you have a little app in there.
So we currently use
Chat, Slack.
Slack. But we want to get away from that, and we'll use this for our intra-office chat.
So that has capability to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what the perk of me being involved is, I get to direct some of this, so they had their idea, which was very close to my idea, but I said, look, what we really need is a chat function that we can attach that conversation to a patient. And then, if we want that conversation in the patient's EMR or EHR, we export it on a PDF and suck it up into the document center. If it's conversations that don't need to be a part of their medical record, then we'll keep it apart. The other thing they can do that I totally forgot was they can attach cone beams, they can attach panels, they can attach photos. So it has large file transfer capabilities, which was another requirement of ours. Because Slack currently does that for us. And we used to use a program called Bright Squid for this, but they shut it down, so we got kicked off. But once again, not everybody wants to be communicated in this way. Some people want an email, some people want a phone call. So we still, it's like Burger King, right? We give it to them their way. But you think about who's in those offices, the GP offices, they're overwhelmed and they like to text. Here we go. This can help them.
So we were saying they can exclude 10 other surgeons. So in my area, there's only a couple other full-time oral surgeons. So could you do periodontist?
Sure.
Yeah, you get to choose.
Periodontist and oral surgeon.
Yeah, I hate periodontists.
Yeah.
We need to exterminate them. But that's kind of my point about putting out the quality of surgery. Like, you should do soft tissue grafts better than any periodontist in the community. Then, there's no need for those people. So, no matter what the procedure is, if it's surgical, it's your patient. So that's kind of how I spent my early years going to courses and was doing soft tissue courses. So I figured, and then when I go out to lunch, hey, if you ever have this, I can do that for you. If you need this, I can do that for you. And I try and change their referral pattern behavior. And then you do a nice anterior case. Send it out, or show it to them, look at this anterior case. Because I don't, do you guys get the same thing? Some of these dental schools teach them that front teeth go to perio and back teeth. It makes no sense. Okay, any other questions on that? All right, let's take a quick break again.